Hey guys, it's TF Now. Welcome back to the channel, and for a very late day 4 of Anime Week here on the channel, I'm going to be taking a look at the Good Smile Company Figma Max Factory Lio Fotia from Promare, figure number 547 in the line. If you saw my previous Anime Week review, which was Gallo, you would know two things. One, I wasn't super happy with that Gallo figure because of the price and the problems that I had with it. Just spoiler alert, this one is better. But two, you guys got to kind of hear me gush about this movie. Again, it's kind of a dumb movie, but I do enjoy it quite a bit. Again, shout out to my friend Eileen for introducing it to me. They go by ATTACKONWAKEUP on Twitter and Twitch. Just wanted to plug them really quick. I could actually do a 360 of the box this time because this one is the standard size box, or at least the usual standard size box for Figmas, compared to Gallo's, which was really, really big. So you've been seeing a 360 of the packaging here, getting a couple quick shots of the top of the box here, which is just Leo, and a pretty nice signature sitting pose like they do in the movie. A bunch of the stuff like Max Factory and all that in Figma Promare. On the bottom, it's going to be the exact same image, but we do have more of a teal instead of a purplish color. And unfortunately, since I got this on Amazon, the barcode is being covered there. But here's a 360 of the figure out of the packaging. I do think that this is, once again, like I said, a little bit more of a solid figure compared to Gallo. It has its fair share of issues, but it's not as bad as Gallo's. I do think it is very nice. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a closer look at the figure. A lot of you are familiar with the standard stuff that Figmas come with, which is an adjustable neck base, as you see there, that comes with an adapter piece for porting into the figure. It also has a skin tone extra wrist peg, as well as a bag to hold your Figma figures. One thing I forgot to mention is that even though Gallo here, as you see, has really large wrist pegs, they gave him a small standard size skin tone wrist peg, so that was kind of weird to see. So you don't actually get a replacement for Gallo, but with the one that you get with Leo here, it will fit that figure, which is good. So we do have the hand tree, a tree of hands I should say, looking really nice here. What you can tell, since this is actually a really good way for me to show you, because I'm going to fumble these around, is all these are done in a particular type of paint. There is a sculpted I'm trying to actually see. There should be a sculpted separation. It's a little faint, but where the skin tone meets the black, there is a little bit of sculpting there. Each of these are done in a similar fashion where it's mostly black, and even though I'm holding this, I could still fumble this. We have gripping hands for the swords. We have these more expressive hands, which one of these has a peg. We'll talk about that in a second. And then we have these stylized hands. I guess you could also make these as relaxed hands. I do wish that this peg was also on this particular hand here, and the reason why is because we get this really cool type of stylized burnished fire here. This is really sick. It has a darker like purple going away from the pink in here. The paint is really clean. The very bright teal on this thing, it's a little too bright, is also really nicely done. Lots of angular shapes going on here, which is how it looks in the movie. It's very cool. But again, you can really only port it in the left hand, which just find the plug in there. And it actually stays in there really nice. If you give it a little bit of force, it can pop out. But it should stay in there rather nicely. We also have the really cool burnished sword. This is an awesome piece. This is also extremely fragile, so be careful if you get this figure. We have some like lime green, with really bright teal with a gradient going to the pinkish purple going on there with a little bit of like, this lime green is actually almost like a yellowish in some areas too. Man, the colors are just really nice and very stylized, just like how it is in the movie. This is such a really cool piece. It's quite long too. You can also, okay, let's pop this out for a second. When it comes to this, you just slip it into the hands. The paint from the sword could rub off into the hand, which is kind of a standard problem if you do it for too long with lots of different figures, but especially because of how the paint is kind of delicate with Good Smile figures. You want to be careful. Maybe not pose this on this hand all the time, just in case you want to avoid paint rub. So now that we've moved on from those accessories, I do want to talk about the faces. Get the brightness down a little bit. This is more of a smirk face. The printing on the eyes is really nice. A little bit of like, I guess the eyelashes, the printing on there is very clean too. The eyebrows, a little bit of color going on that crease in the mouth. Just like Gallo, we do have a little bit of like a shadow, a stylized color of shadow on top of the nose. I don't think it's as prominent as I actually have them right here. It's not as prominent and distracting, I think. Actually, it doesn't look too bad right now still. But I would rather have had a whole skin tone on Gallo and not really that highlight there, even though, you know, that's kind of how it is throughout the series, or the movie, I should say. It's not that prominent here. So, it's not really that big of a nitpick, but it's still fine. You know, the sculpting of the ears is good. Little earring right there is a little bit of like a pinkish purple. We have the other face here. This is a screaming face. Again, the printing on the eyes, all that is very clean, very consistent with the other face. And then we have that shadow on the nose. The earring is very clean. The separation of colors where the teeth and the tongue is, that is very clean. Last but not least, because these characters love to do this, we do have an arms crossed accessory piece. So, you know, it's a little tricky for me to do, but it's just like with Gallo. Gallo's, I think, is a little bit easier. Leo's is really tough. I really don't want to break it on camera. So you pop that in, and these plugs here prevent shrinking of the plastic. I can't do this on camera. This accessory on this figure will be the final photo at the end of the review. Just want to let you know. But just to show you just how this looks, you can also use these plugs for these when you want to display him, you know, in your shelf. And you just plug these up there. So it's got multi-purposes. You can see the hand is actually sculpted in there when it's tucked in. They sculpted pretty much everything. This hand too has nice sculpting. I think there's a little bit of white chipping right there, but the white meeting the black, that paint is very clean. This pink here, there is a separation in the sculpt there when I feel that, and then that green is also very cool looking. Now, the pre-order bonus was the bear exposed upper torso, like how he looked at the end of the movie, which I wish the standard version came with that. I would have paid a little bit extra for that. But if you are in the market to get this figure, that pre-order bonus is still available, and the figure is in stock on Good Smile's website, but that is more expensive on that website over there. So while I don't think this figure comes with really too much stuff, unfortunately, for the price you're paying, which what I paid was $70 on Amazon, you know, these figures can already be pretty expensive, and so this one being a little bit more affordable for the Figma line, I think is a little bit easier to digest. And the stuff that we do get here is pretty cool. Once again, I think the sculptor at Good Smile, whoever was in charge of this, did an incredible job at making this look pretty much like it came out of the movie. It's very nice looking. Like, details are really accurate. One thing I want to mention is, of course, these figures have the separation in the hair to change the faces. We all know that that's just a system with these imports figures. This one is a little bit more loose. It's still staying on there, but there have been some times where it may not be on there super securely, and then they would knock it off. But it stays on there just as fine, just not as securely and not as snug as I would like it to. The actual printing on the face, that's really clean. Very similar to the other faces. The eyes have great coloring. The eyelashes, the eyebrows too. A little bit of that highlight on the nose. The mouth color there. The teal mixed in with this very bright blonde is really great. Their overall sculpting here is really good too. See some of the detailing of all the hair underneath each other. Yeah, you can see that fell off. They don't have any teal in these inner layers of the hair, but they have it through here. A little bit of a cowlick right there. You just pop that back in. The rest of this outfit is very nice too. The handkerchief, I guess, would be. That looks good. The collar has some pink on there, and then pretty much this side is pink, and this side's going to be green. So I don't have to keep saying it over and over again. You guys can tell. This is a separate neck piece, though. It does show off the skin tone going into the body a little bit. If you try to push it down, especially, yeah, so if you push it down, it won't show any of that. This is, looks like this is, actually haven't messed around with this too much, to be quite honest. Looks like this piece hinges. I don't know if you could pop this off, and I'm not going to. So be aware of that. But both, they're not the exact same sculpt, but they're done in a similar way with lots of waviness going on. Nice white paint going on. This little patch right here, whatever this is. That actually looks, I think the white paint is a little thick on there, so it gets the way of some of the detailing, but it still looks fine. I'm not sure what all the inner workings of this outfit is, but this vest, you know, you have this like beige color going on here, wrapped around there. It looks nice. A nice seam line going all the way down. So you see the detailing on the back of the neck, the fluffed up piece there. That's where the port on the back is. Detailing on the back with this waistband piece here, which has a little bit of a soft plastic with that white paint. Black piece there. Silver on the buckles is nice. You have the green highlights going on there too. Well, I don't remember if these are supposed to like break up here. So this I think is supposed to be consistent, and I guess this is the separate part of the outfit right there with these like white lines sticking out. You also get a bit of a seam on the side there. And well, I mentioned this with the arms already. This does pop off rather easily. Oh boy, I don't even know if that's actually supposed to pop off the way it did. If that's a problem, I can super glue that pop just back on just as easily. That might be because of the pre-order bonus. I am just now realizing. It probably should have been a doy. That's why this should have came with that. Okay, I digress. We do have separation. Actually, is there? I think there's very faint separation of like sculpting between the pink and the black there. The glossiness of the pink and the green is really nice compared to the matte of the black, which is also nice, of course. You have the fluffed up piece. This is a very like very intricate design for this character, whereas Gallo's it's not like super duper simple, but it's simpler definitely compared to this. But they've captured it very well with the like, cuff piece right there. All that paint. I mean, the black going onto the white's a little, splotchy. You have to look hard at that, though. No wonder. I felt like this was leaning off to the side a little bit, and that was a little bit loose. I think it's because of the interchangeable torso set. Getting down to the waist. Nice pockets on the back here. A little bit of a waistband going on. Seam line for the zipper looking good. I think there's a separate buckle in there too. Let's pop this off just one more time just to get an idea. So you can see a little bit of whatever detailing is right there. So I think this can be popped off. Yeah, that can be popped off. I'm not going to entirely do it right now though. There is a little bit of like a notch in there. And then compared to how this is done, just pop that right back in. There we go. This man is very skinny, and it will get in the way of him standing, unfortunately. He almost fell a couple times while he's on the rotating base. The sculpting around the hips, with all those wrinkles, looks really good with the green and pink going on there. Looking very, very nice. Very little paint splotching besides like a couple minor areas. Seam line going all the way down here with these straps and silver buckles on each side. Get down here. I feel like this, I zoom out a little bit. I don't know if it's the actual joint or sculpting. I feel like the right leg at the knee section is bending outward a little bit. And then when I look back here, it should be fine. So it's a little, I don't know if it's warped somehow. It's rather interesting. The knee pads are pretty cool. They're both, I think they're like the exact same sculpt. Not the exact same paint, of course. It's like an inverse where you have like these like triangle shapes on the outside and the inside. You have those just lines, but they're in a different color. That's very cool. And more straps with buckles on the sides, around the legs, all the way down to the shins, to the ankles here. Looking good again. And then the feet, the top of the feet, you should see the straps. That strap work is pretty nice. With some very small buckles, but they don't have bad paint at all. Like, you would think that this would have the most splotching here, but that is really clean. That's what the bottom of the feet look like. Not much going on there. And then the it's cool that we have the toe hinge, but we do have metal pins in there for that. I do wish they were more of like painted over or just black pins. I think this is more structurally stable. The insides don't show it at all. Actually, so this is covered, but the rest of these are not covered. So that's rather interesting. Yeah, a lot going on in this design. Some people might think it might be a little bit of a busy design. I think for, what we have with this particular character, it's very appropriate and it's done very well here. Articulation scheme here is pretty standard with the Good Smile Figma line. You do see this entire joint system. It is a little overexposed when it moves around. You have a ball joint going into the head, this thick ball joint going into the neck, and then the neck has a ball joint going into the torso. That's going to allow for a combined range of motion going all the way down. Now, of course, again, you're going to get some exposed joints going on there, but it doesn't look too bad. Up like this, actually really nicely. You get a little bit side to side in there, the rotation as you see there, and then the neck, actually, it's a little tough to move the neck around, but you get that pivoting and you rock it and all that, so that's really cool. We do have kind of like it's kind of like a butterfly joint, but it's like a ball joint going in here, and then the hinge, and then a peg going into the arm. So you see in there, it goes all the way around. Just be careful with paint rub. The paint on these figures are really delicate, so you can end up rubbing a lot of things, unfortunately. But moving it out, that's as far out as it wants to go. That's really impressive. It can shimmy up and down a bit, forward and back like that. Upper arm swivel here. Single joint elbow, but it actually does swivel here. Bends really well, even though the joint looks a little too much like a disc. It kind of swivels here at the lower part of the elbow. Standard wrist articulation with imports figures, as you see here, going in there. So you have ball joints here, and then, yeah, also going on underneath where the waist actually breaks off. So you have it going into the rib cage area and chest. So you get this combined range of motion, which, even though that keeps popping off, that stays on there really well, actually. And then a little bit of exposed ball joint there, but that's as far back as it likes to go, but before falling apart. Very interesting. It could swivel, actually, a decent amount. You're getting better swivel up here. Side to side like this. Could be a little bit better. No drop down system. Ooh, geez, the legs are a little tight on my figure. So this left leg is not as tight as the right leg. But that's as far out as it wants to go, and this is a softer plastic piece. Things are starting to get a little messy here, unfortunately. That's as far back as it wants to go. Splits like that aren't too bad. We do have upper leg swivel, and then we do have a single joint knee. It can swivel here and slightly swivel at the lower part of the knee. So that came apart again. We do have, it's a little tight. It should be able to swivel at the ankle here. It's because these guards are getting in the way. Down, up, a little bit of an ankle rocker. I'm having trouble though. Toe hinge. So the articulation is good, but some things about it are a little messy, and this keeps popping off. It's kind of annoying me. Measuring out the figure, we are looking at just under 15 centimeters, so that is going to put this one here right under 6 inches tall, which is actually still taller than most standard size Figma characters. As you see, we have a bunch of Figma here. Right next to him on the right, that's Gala. You can see it's like one of the tallest Figma I think I own. Compared to also, right next to him on the left, that is Lancer from the Fate series, which is still a pretty tall Figma too. Over on the far left, that's also a pretty tall female Figma, is Rider 2.0. And over to the far right, you can see just how short 2045 version of Kusanagi is. Overall, I am digging this figure. I think actually a little bit more than Gallo, mainly because my particular Gallo was so messy. Even though overall it is still a bit of a solid figure, I have to say that this one is a little bit better because of that. Now, it's not perfect. I think we have some loose joints in certain areas. Mostly in the waist. The waist likes to pop off a lot because of that pre-order bonus you would have had. I do think he's a little too hard to stand and pose around. You're definitely going to want a base for extra security with this particular character. It doesn't really come with that much accessories for $70, which is like the lowest you can find it, unless you find it on sale somewhere. Some places will charge like 80 and 90 bucks and all that. So I do wish they did a little bit more of this particular figure, but the actual sculpt work, the paint is very clean. What articulation mostly is here is really nice. There's some single joints, of course, but they work almost like double joints, which is very good. So it is a bit of a, skip for people who maybe aren't committed to Promare merch like at all, or if you're not even that familiar with it. But if you're a really, really big fan, I am going to have to say you'd have to get both figures. But if you could go without Gallo, with the problems you might have, and also that crazy price, then I think you'll be fine with just Leo. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.